Hey everybody, what is up? This is Devin, LaVore, and
LaVore coming at you.
Do you love that we say that all the time? I don't know. It doesn't get old for me. Anyway, so we have a little message that we wanted to share with you guys today. We thought would be like super encouraging. This morning in our God time, this is January 24th. There's just been a lot of cool stuff going on from last night about angels and all that stuff that we haven't even made a video on, and I don't know if we will. But this morning was like, oh my gosh, we have to share this, right?
Yeah.
And so, let me see. We were listening to a song called "Reckless Love," and it's there's a section in there that what does it say? There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Many of you are probably going, yeah, I know that song, I love that song, or whatever. But in the midst of just having it's just been awesome. Let's backtrack a little bit. Last night was amazing.
It was.
Wasn't it amazing? I mean, I almost feel like not right, just not sharing a little bit. But we watched this video about about angels, and we really, because you led God time last night, you didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, I don't know what to do either. And then our son was like, hey, can we watch another one of those videos about like people visiting heaven or something? The 5-year-old. And it was just like, oh. And as soon as he said that, this one particular video from Sid Roth, I forget the name of the guy.
It's Kevin something.
Kevin ZEDAI or something like that. And he died on a dentist table and went to heaven for 3 hours or something, and he came back and he just had all this revelation. He came back knowing how to play 9 instruments. He knew 0 when he died on that table.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool, just so much. And then we got to watch part 2 of that video about the secret agenda of angels. And so we watched the real mission, I guess, of angels last night. And it was so confirming, because I've had visions of angels as well. And I'm just like looking at them going, I think this is my imagination getting caught up in here. Because I don't know if I don't know anything in scripture that says that's what angels look like. And then this guy, last night, I mean, this is a vision I had a long time ago, over a year. And this guy got on and he was saying, and I had this vision of this angel. He came into no, it wasn't even a vision. The angel just appeared in his room, and he described what he looked like. And it just blessed my heart so much. And I was like, wow, that is exactly what the angels looked like in the vision that I saw. And it was just really, really cool. So that happened, and then our son, our oldest son, man, he prayed a ton.
Yeah.
He prayed a ton, and I mean, he was speaking from the glory.
Yeah.
He was prophesying from the glory. And it was just prayers like, you just don't pray those kind of prayers unless God's got you in a place, right?
Yeah.
And so we come into today, and we're kind of in the afterglow of all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So just, see, you got to set up your story. You always got to set up your story. You can't always just get right to the point.
Yeah.
You got to set up a story. And so, and that's kind of what we do, isn't it? We're storytellers.
Yes.
And so today, and oh my gosh, and we were seeing 44s like crazy yesterday. Yeah. Oh my gosh. You guys have no idea. They were just coming out of the woodwork. And why is that important? Because for us, that either means God's speaking to us about something about chosen, because that 44 is the number of the chosen people, or it's Matthew 4:4. And I felt like all day it was about the chosen.
Yeah.
Like, you are my chosen. You are my chosen people. I have chosen you to do what you're doing and how you're doing it. That's why you're provided for this whole time. That's why there's provision. That's why the waters of adversity have not touched you. And you haven't fallen apart and things haven't, you know what I mean? Because he's chosen us. And I just felt like that because during that morning, yesterday morning, there was God it just bubbled out of me. You ever have something bubble out of you and you say it, but you know it's being birthed by the Spirit? It was just like, you are my chosen. It's like, God, you have chosen us, dude. And it just stuck with me. It was just sticking with me. And I woke up with it again this morning as we were doing worship and all that. It was just that same sense of like, we are your chosen. We are your chosen, right? then I had this really cool encounter with the Lord in the midst of it that was just really powerful, like a quick little moment with the Lord that was super powerful, that was breaking some stuff off of me, right? And I was like, yeah, Lord, okay. And then we got to that song, the Reckless Love song. And when it got to the part where it says, there's no wall you won't kick down, it's like I heard in the spirit, like there's some walls that need to be kicked down. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And I didn't really know what that meant. And as time, our worship time came to an end, and we're talking to the kids about, what their worship time was like with the Lord and all that. And I'm sharing with them this thing. And in the midst of sharing all this, I still didn't know. I felt awkward. Sharing it. I was like, man, I feel unprepared. I feel like I should at least be letting them know what the walls are that need to be kicked down or whatever. And I don't know. I was like, so maybe we could pray about it. And I'm just like, wow. Tail tucked between the leg. Let's keep going with God time. That's kind of what it felt like. But, we got a new catchphrase for feeling and thinking. Well, I feel like, you know what I think? I think that God, it's kind of like what we do to each other now. Yeah. It's like, what is the Lord saying? It's not about how you feel and how you think. Yeah. That's the soul realm. What's the Spirit saying? And if the Spirit's at peace, so should you be. But anyway, and so we went on to read a Psalm 139, because that's been a thing since yesterday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we got to this part in verse 23. And this is in the Passion Translation. I'm just really loving the Passion Translation right now. It says, God, I invite your searching gaze into my heart. Examine me through and through. Find out everything that may be hidden within me. Put me to the test and sift through all my anxious cares. Mm-hmm. Now, this is what happened to me. God, I invite your searching gaze into my heart. Examine me through and through. Okay, stop right there. That's what the Lord just jumped in. It was almost like we're listening, and as that's being read, he jumped into in front of my face. He's like, okay, Devin, here's my question to you. What if I do that and I search you through and through and I find nothing to find fault with? I find nothing to point at. I find nothing to fix or that you need to have done. What then? And he just did. That was what it was. I was like, okay, what are you going to do? And it was really a foreign concept to me. I was like, now, because this is what's going on in my mind. I'm like, that's not right. That's not true. That's not, but then you can't say that to the Lord. Mm-mm. He is truth. He is true. Everything he speaks is true. So if he says there's nothing wrong with you, I find no fault with you, I am pleased with you. I've been giving you the 111s like crazy for the past week, overdoing it to show you like I'm totally pleased with you. There's nothing, and it's like, what's the problem? Well, the problem is you were looking with these eyes at, how you kind of have a quick temper sometimes, you get frustrated sometimes, you don't respond well in certain situations sometimes. See, you're looking with the eyes of the soul, and you can't do that. It's like you have to, and it was almost like God's like, I'm inviting you to connect with me and how I see you and the pleasure that I have in you. I'm inviting you to see what I see. And when you see what I see, it will override what you feel and think. Yeah. And it was like that's the wall that needs to be kicked down. Mm-hmm. It was like, finally, it was like, oh my gosh. At the end of the psalm, we get the revelation. Go ahead.
Well, and I think I was just, reminded earlier today and just even again now about, if you go into Hebrews chapter 11, and it's all about faith, but it lists all of these men and women of faith, right? Sure. And you're going through the list, and it says, they had issues. Well, yeah, you're looking at this, but it's like, but the Lord accredited it to Abraham as righteousness. Yeah. Righteousness. Well, what is righteousness? He's in right standing with the Lord. He's standing before him blameless. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. Look at his life. And it's like, oh, now you're going to do the enemy's job? Yeah. You're going to fault find yourself? Yeah. It's like you're trying to do God's job on one hand or the enemy's job on the other for yourself, and you're bad at both of them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, And
let God judge.
Yeah, and it was just very much like, hey, like, no, God's, you have to allow God to come in and give you his eyes to see things as he sees things. And then to come in agreement with what he sees. You know, so much of the time it's like God's like, hey, I really love you. I think you're great. I'm delighted with you. And then there's instantly, how can that be?
Yeah.
That doesn't, how, you're delighted with me, but Lord, and you have all these things that you can point out. And like you just said, it's like, that's what the enemy does. He's the one that comes in and accuses and points things out. But we also have a flesh and a soul that's like, it really knows that, man, I'm not perfect. Yeah. There's nothing about me that's perfect. And then it's like, well, we have a spirit, though, that says, hey, you have Jesus, his righteousness, and it's covering you. And I think for me, too, when we read that verse, I was reminded, and I've been reminded of it a couple of times just this week, about the Garden of Eden and how, you know, with Adam and Eve, they were just clothed in the glory of God. You know, they were naked and unashamed. And that was when they were seeing each other, because they were completely clothed with the glory. And I just feel like even in that, it's like, God, examine my heart, you know, see all of me, expose every part of me. But it's like with the Lord, there is no shame in that. Yeah. There is just, he exposes things, he brings things out only to help the relationship. And I think for me, a wall that was kicked down today was just this idea of just a fear of having the Lord come in and examine, because I'm just like,
oh yes, I remember that.
I don't know what you're gonna find, but I know whatever it is, it's gonna probably be horrible, and it's just like,
and you're gonna be really disappointed and upset with me once you find it out, because you know before then you don't know about it. It's hidden from your eyes.
But it's almost, you know, nobody who likes it when somebody points out something about you, you know, and it's like, oh, that's terrible. You don't like looking at it, and it just feels like so much of the time it's like, you're like, okay, Lord, search my heart. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Yeah. Oh, Lord, I'm so sorry. You know, and God's like, no, just stand before me. You know, you don't have any reason.
Oh, I'm so embarrassed. It's so funny.
To be ashamed or to feel that way, because it's like, you know, if anything, God's saying, hey, okay, let me just come in and I want to touch this part of your heart, and I'm going to make it new, and you're already covered in my glory. And that's really where he wants us to be. Again, just this idea of, you know, when Adam and Eve were in the garden, they were in a place where they hadn't, before they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it was like they were completely just open with the Lord. Their hearts were uncovered before that. They were laid bare before the Lord.
They didn't know anything else.
And they were covered by his glory. And and it was just, and it was beautiful, and the relationship that they had with the Lord, and it's like, that's really where God wants our hearts to be continually, is in this place where we are unashamed, but we're able to just have his gaze fixed on our hearts and fixed on us, and you know, because sometimes, you know, I think people just in general, they have a hard time like looking at people in the eye. And I think that comes from just this, oh my gosh, you're probably going to see something about me that I don't want you to see. And what does that mean? And it's like, but with the Lord, we want to be able to have him gaze at our hearts, because that would be the eyes, right? It's the heart that is like, God, just like, I want to know you and who you are. And so let me look upon you. But when he looks upon us, it's out of love, a great love. And it's like, there is no, you know, feeling anything other than just the beauty of God and the love of God is like, he's like, I don't even want you to experience those things. That's not who I am. I'm not here to judge you, because I've already judged. I've already declared, because of Jesus, that I'm giving you mercy, and I'm giving you eternal life, and I've declared you righteous, and you're my chosen. You know, I think that's just been huge. There's been a theme, like
it has
You're
either thinking of circular or cyclical, which they both kind of mean the same thing. You know,
thanks.
Where's my book?
But just basically this reoccurring theme of God talking to us about forgiveness, God talking to us about His love.
That's a Psalm 32, man. We've been in that for days.
And God talking to us about being sons and daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And then also now the chosen ones, you know, chosen by God.
Chosen.
And I think he's talking about these, you know, when we're said this is a building year. A lot of people have been saying that God's really building. And I think that these are like the things that God's building upon.
The building blocks.
He's like, okay, these are essential. You have to know, you have to be covered in my forgiveness, which comes through my love. And when you are born again, you are born in, and you are sons and daughters of me, the King. Like, know that you are sons and daughters. You're not servants. You're not slaves. You are sons and daughters.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
And then he's saying, like, I've chosen you. You are my chosen people. And I love you. I greatly and tenderly love you. And it's just like he wants us to be imprinted upon his heart. This was such a... The other day we were talking, and you know, when God created Adam, and he breathed life into him, and it was just this moment I had where it was just like, wow, Adam opened his eyes, and his eyes were imprinted upon God. That's who he saw first. He saw God himself. And, you know, because it's like when a baby's born and it's held in its mother's arms, it's like, you know, a baby can only see so far, but they can look and gaze at a mother's face, you know, and so many animals, you know, in the kingdom, it's like that's how it works, you know, they hatch or they're born and they see their mother, and that's like who they're imprinted on. Like, they know this is my mother. And in that same sense, it's like when we are born of the Spirit, we are imprinted onto God. Yeah. And that's who we see as our Father. It's like, oh, you're my Father. That's who I'm looking to. And and I don't know, I just had never really seen it that way before. And I just loved it. I loved, like, wow, can you imagine being Adam, and you just get the breath of life, the breath of God in you, and you open your eyes, and that's who you see. And it's like, wow, that's just amazing.
Yeah, I wonder what his experience really was like, you know, but that's another side note. Because, you know, Jesus says no one has ever seen God except the Son of Man and all that. And I was like, well, that must include Adam as well. But it's like, so what was his experience like? It's probably much like ours is, but like being able to actually see him. You know, so it's just like, it's just interesting because it's like, well, there's the Adam experience, but then there's what Jesus said. And it's just like, well, what was his experience like then if no one's ever seen him? You know what I mean?
Or he only saw maybe
kind of like a heavenly encounter. It's like that's kind of how he lived. But that's fun stuff to speculate on. Pray about. Say, Lord, give us more revelation on that.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, all the more reasons to where when God told me this morning, he was like, there's some walls that need to be kicked down. It's like, that's what you do when you're a fixer-upper. You have to kick down some walls to build up. It's like, man, this house is too mazy. It's like a maze. Let's kick down some walls. Yes, it's not built properly.
We need the open concept.
Some religion came in and put all this walled structure in your mind. You know, let's not do that. Here, let me, the master architect, come in. You know, Jesus. Just imagine Jesus with a hard hat and a belt, and you know what I mean? little Chip and Joanna Games Jesus, just come in and bam, he's just knocking down some walls and he's smashing down some things and he's going, no, you guys need to see me. This wall is hindering you from seeing me. Mm-hmm. It's blocking. It shouldn't even be here.
Yeah.
If I was building it, I wouldn't have done this. Can I knock down this wall? Yes, you can, Lord. Yes, you can. Go right ahead. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for us today.
Yeah.
We wanted to just share with you guys those things that God is ready to knock down some walls in your life that hinder you from seeing Him the right way. Whether it be a performance wall, I got to perform well. Whether it be like what Michelle talked about, the embarrassment thing. Oh, I don't know if I want you to go in, but don't tell me about it. Don't talk to me. Yeah. Anything that's based in fear and all that stuff. I had to deal with that today. Yeah. Surprisingly, in the most surprising way. I'm like, Lord, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Why am I afraid of this or that? It's like, this doesn't make any sense. And God's like, that's okay. I'm hammering it, man. Yeah. Just let me build. And it's like, wow, God really is building. Mm-hmm. He really, truly is building. And of course, He's building in a way that we think, we hear prophetic words and our brains just go nuts. Our imaginations kick in. But it's like, as we continue to walk with the Lord and we see, oh, that's what you're building. You're building us. Mm-hmm. It's like you're building your church. That's your people. You're building up our hearts. Well, in order to do that, we got to knock down some walls. Yeah. We got to pull out some pipes. We got to replace some things, mm-hmm. And so we hope you guys are blessed by this. Did you want to say any last words?
I think that's all I had.
All right. And so also, guys, I just wanted to remind you guys, we are a support-based ministry, and we do have a PayPal link below, and would appreciate it if you guys would consider supporting us as we continue to do this for as long as God's having us do this. And until next time, guys, we love you, and we will see you later.
Bye.